Good evening, race fans, and welcome to round number 7 here in One Hub Racing Prospect here, brought to you by Next Level Racing, Liam RBS, 3M Sim Racing, partnered with Vespertine and ERT, and in collaboration with Time to Print. I'm your one of two commentators tonight, Peter Nyden. Joined with me was last week's solo commentator, Sullivan Lewis. We're going to be partnering up for this Italian Grand Prix. How are we, Sully?
I'm all right. I commentated last week and enjoyed it, so I thought I'd get myself the permanent roll bar next week. So it'll be interesting to see how the season plays out.
Sounds good to hear. I unfortunately missed last week's Spanish Grand Prix due to work commitments. How was the race last week?
The race last week was heavily dominated by King Jun. I'll say that. Qualifying was close, a lot closer than maybe the race itself. A couple of virtual safety cars spread the field out as well, and Liam especially lost out at the end of that race with penalties and things. So I feel like him and MCFC especially will be wanting to fight their way back today in Italy. In terms of weather, it was a boring, dry race, and I only say boring because the drivers all want rain. So maybe we'll get a bit different today in Monza.
Yeah, rain spices up races. If it's full wet, then it's the same as a full dry. It's just consistent. But if there's interchangeable conditions, then it makes the strategy a whole lot more difficult for drivers to choose when to switch tyres. If it goes from dries to wets, if it goes dries into wets, or as it goes dry straight to full wets, or is it an interstart to wets or wets to dries? But with Italy,
how many times can you say wets?
not enough. But with Italy, 9 times out of 10 you get a dry race. I've done a few wet, but mostly dry. Hopefully we get a spicy race with the meatballs and all the toppings in. All right, Risky.
Oh, you had to throw an Italian joke in.
I did. But anyway, going on to the standings while we wait to get this qualifying session underway. With King Jun's, was it 3 wins in a row now? King Jun's been absolutely flying.
I do believe so.
3 wins in a row for King Jun, takes him to the top of the driver's standings and pulls a decent gap with Liam's in-game penalties last week after getting P2, knocked him down to, P5 or 6. That's quite a few points to lose out, especially when your rival is winning the race. 25 points is the gap now between King Jun and Liam for the top 2 spots. Jake W. Combs came back last week, secured a P3 on track with a post-race penalty for MCFC, getting Jake his best result of the season of a P2. 21 points is the difference between him and P2. So that's your top 3 in the drivers. Ways, One Hub Racing Premium Drivers, made his way up the field with another points finish last week, but is currently sitting as our cold driver for this round here in Monza. He is in 4th with 45 points. Fozzie Bear, leading Mercedes driver, is 5th, 3 points adrift from that top 4, with Zach Jarvis in 6th in the Red Bull with 36. TJW secured a podium last week in Spain after being promoted up to 3rd. He now sits in 7th, One of Racing Premium driver in the Alpha Tauri. So Alpha Tauri looking strong with 2 drivers in the top 7. And Ozia MCFC in the other Mercedes has 31 points with that 15-second time penalty. Post-race added to his time, dropped him last week down to P8 from 2nd. Liam finished 5th, confirming that. ERT driver Baza sits in 9th in the Alfa Romeo. Revan Daniels McLaren driver is in 10th with 27, 1 point behind Baza in 28. So the gap between P4 and P10 is about 18 points. That's nothing when considering there's still quite a few. There's like 80 points left on the line for the season, including and plus fastest laps as well. Alex Lilliart in the Haas is 11th, 7 points off Revan Daniels in P10, One Hub Racing Premium driver in the Haas. Sight Demon with 11 points in the other Racing Point sits in 12th, One Hub Racing Premium driver. CPI Storm got involved in a few incidents last week, is 13th on 7 points in the Renault. One Hub Racing Premium driver Indecisive Mackie is in 14th with Haas, 7 points for him. Jess with 5 in the other Ferrari partnering Liam. One Hub Racing Premium driver. New driver, I believe, for Pro Evil in the McLaren is Mason Jr. One of our One Hub Racing drivers' fathers is racing in Prospect Tier, knocking Dexter off the top spot for oldest driver. I'm sure he can put on a show for us this week in the other McLaren in 16th with points playing position last week. We've got Josh Wilkins in 17th in the other Renault. Jacko, I missed his performance last week. Wonderful Jacko. We love Jacko. ERT driver in the Alfa Romeo, partnering his ERT brother of Baza in the other Alfa. Smithy Chris is in the Aston Martin for Craig Senna on 0 points. And we've got Stereogram in the Williams yet to score a point this season. I've rambled on enough, Risky. And we haven't even started yet. I really did rumble on,
haven't you?
But
that's what we like. Get it all out of the way first before qualifying's even started.
Yeah, but we'll go through all the media in qualifying.
Yeah, just on the talk of media, I've been searching through some of them, and I found Kingdon's, and I was just quite interested to see what he said about Monza this week. And he was asked if he was a leader of a chaser, so does he prefer being in the lead, which we've seen so much of this season for him, or chasing down rivals. And he says as much as he enjoys chasing, he finds he's better defending than overtaking. And another question was asked if he likes the Temple of Speed. Much better than Spain, but still not one of my favourites. And we've seen a lot of drivers the past few weeks kind of not been happy with Spain, or especially in the One Hub as a whole, Spain was not particularly liked. So hopefully this week will be a good race to watch, a good race to commentate on. The next question, quite fitting with respect to Spain. This is a better track for overtaking opportunities, isn't it? Spain is awful in every way, not the track, not the country, just the track. So perfectly fitting, and yet still managed to dominate a race. So I think Kingdon will, if he four goes as well, we'll wrap the title up in a few races' time as well. The confidence is astonishing, but if you've got the pace, you can have the confidence, and you can afford to have the confidence. And just a well done as well for this tier. Seems to be very, very good at media days and things. So, a bit of respect to the prospect drivers.
Cheers, Risky. Yeah, you mentioned Kingdon. He's got to be confident going into this. He's won 3 on the bounce. He's the man to beat, even if he loses the win, say, to Liam or to another driver. As long as he beats Liam, he's going to extend the gap. Gap's 25 points, 20 for a win. Points paying all the way down to, is it 12th, I believe, all the way to 1 singular point for 12th. Different point system, as we see. A nice sunny Italy. Let me put all of my bits and bobs on for everyone to be able to see. Soft tyres selected for all the drivers. You mentioned Kingdon as well. In the drivers' press conference, he was asked, well, you're leading the way in the Drivers' Championship. How nervous are you that it could go wrong in the few races that are left in the season? So the question really points down to what's the pressure going to be like, especially with the points gap. So he says he's not nervous. He's already achieved way more than he expected before the start of the season. Sure, it would be nice to win the championship, but I'm not really thinking so far ahead yet. Now I'm just focusing on finishing the races in the points, and if I'm lucky, that will be enough. That's a good mindset, don't you think, Risky? You've already got that points gap lead. You don't really want to risk going forward any overtakes. You're not the one closing the gap. You're the one with the gap ahead. You got to be nice and cautious for these final 4 rounds.
It's not only a good mentality to have, but he's put himself in the position where he can afford to ease off that little bit. But no driver wants to ease off and doesn't need to take the risks, as ironic as my name is, me talking about risks. But
yeah,
he's in the box seat, I think, for the rest of this season. Just see for likes of Liam or anybody else, maybe a shock race winner can maybe knock his confidence a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. We're on board with Kingdon. Seems to be our first driver on track, and he is going through Ascari I love this track. This is one of the only tracks that I love to drive on, just because it's quick. Obviously, I'm a hater of Monaco. I can drive it, but Monaco I can't really stand. But Monza is one of those, if you get every single corner perfect, it just feels amazing, especially the high speed. But it's coming around Parabolica now for the first time on his outlap. He's going to take one of the longer runs down towards turn 1, crosses the line towards the start of the pit entry, and now nice tricky turn 1 and 2. Heavy braking point on the left hand side, turning nice and early, take the curb on the entry, and not as much curb on the second half of the chicane of turn 2. Now the run through Curva Grande, he's got a little bit of traffic up ahead. This will see where he sits first sector as it goes towards turn 4. 26.2 benchmark at the moment on soft tyres. There's the entry of 4 and 5 nice and clean. Now it's the infamous Lesmo. I nearly called it something else. It's the Lesmo 1 and 2. We won't go there to what I was going to call it. Let's just say some memes were created. Oh, that's a very late get out of the way from the Haas. Didn't want to get in the way or even give an advantage to Kington as he runs down towards Ascari. End of the second sector. 53.2 is the total time through the first 2 sectors. It's very squirmy through this chicane. You want to carry the speed, but at the end you've got to try and keep all 4 wheels on the track and the car facing the right way, as he has done so far. Now for Parabolica, about just before the 50-metre braking board, you want to brake down to 5th, get it turned in, and then get on the power nice and early. Up to the line, provisional pole at the moment is a 120.2. That's a decent lap time for our first laps. Next we have a few at the Haas, and then we've got McLaren crossing the line. That's Mason Jr., Big John, 21.7 for a bank lap. Not bad getting his feel for the track in the McLaren. Mercedes Jess across the line goes quicker than John with a 21.1 in the Ferrari. And then TJ podium sitter across the line goes even quicker than Kingdom with the 20.0. Some lap times coming in.
Gonna say Liam in the Ferrari go quicker, but TJ put in that lap time, which Liam's now going to struggle to beat anyway because he's invalid. But Liam was on for a good lap, so Liam showing pace early on with a purple middle sector. Just
excellent. It's really hard. I'm looking at the minimap to see what cars are crossing the line. I know Reverend Daniels is going to be starting a lap. Williams of... Is there another Williams? I looks like there's another Williams. But we'll stay on board with Reverend Daniels. Partner up Big John in the other McLaren. His target 121.7 to beat his teammate. But a 20.0 is the lap time to beat for pole position. It seems to be a man who can put it on pole is Reverend Daniels.
Does like a qualifying session. I'll give him that one. Likes to pull a lap out of the bag towards the end as well. We saw in, I think it was Spa, he was going quickly towards the very end of the session, and I think it was a bit of a rainy qualifying that particular weekend. So that showed that he's got the pace. He's always got more pace in him. Liam going for another lap as well as Reverend Daniels. So it'll be interesting to see where his second lap puts in. But Wade's up there in 4th. That's not a bad lap time from him. He's been a top 5 contender at the start of the race.
A little bit of a squirmy moment for Reverend Daniels through the Ascari chicane. Just looking at his sector times on TAS, 26.9 for the first sector. That's not quick enough for pole, but his middle sector was initially quick enough, but Liam smashes that by 2/10. But them guys starting to struggle in the first sector. Reverend Daniels up to the line, goes 4th, 20.4, just 21 thousandths quicker than Waze. So this second down to 6th is looking very tight at the moment, with TJ leading the way. We'll go back on board with Liam, but he is in the pits. Probably another invalidation. Didn't want to set that lap time. Alex Lilliart on a cooldown. Indecisive, invalid, may go again. Nosy at MCFC is on a lap. Just coming towards the end of the first sector. 26.1, that's more like the sector time you're needing to be knocking TJ off the top step. It says purple in game. But is it purple on track? It is indeed. 26-1. He's flying. It is the Mercedes driver. Looking to get into the 119s. Now through the second Lesmo, down towards Ascari. DRS wide open. Second sector split. Purple again. But saying that, Jacko has gone purple in the first sector on his first flyer. So keep an eye out for the Alfa Romeo as Ineos MCFC is coming up towards Parabolica to finish this lap. It's looking strong at the moment. He was initially purple first. Second sector, he is still purple. Up to the line is this provisional pole for the Mercedes driver. Will it be in the 19s? It is a 19.4. 6/10 from TJ, showing the pace in that Mercedes, with Jacko being a bit slower in that second sector.
What a lap that is. I think that has potential to be the pole lap. A 19.4 there. I don't think we'll see much improvement. I'm sure there'll be a few guys wanting to go faster, but Jacko with a 19.9 as well, so he's come in last week. Set his benchmark quite high. He reckons he could be up there, I think, and he showed his pace last week.
Sorry to interrupt. He has the best first sector than everyone by 33 thousandths. The rest of the sectors are obliterated by MCFC. 26.6 in the second compared to Jacko's 26.8, and a 26.6 again in sector 3 compared to a 26.9. So every single sector being in the 26s. Maybe you might stretch a 25 in sector 1 if you can get turn 1 and 2. That really is, it's the breaking point in turn 1 and 2, and that run round Curva Grande towards turn 4 and 5 that you really need to nail for that first sector, which Jacko did, but fell away a little bit. But he currently sits on the front row of the grid halfway through this qualifying session.
He'll be happy with that, I think. If he can keep it, that is, he'll be happy with that one. Just King Jun started his lap, just gone through turns 1 and 2 around the Curva Grande now, so going to check his split times as he comes up to the first sector split. Not, in fact, purple, so he's close, very close, but
he is quicker than he is quicker than MCFC though. 8 thousandths quicker than MCFC.
Yeah, Jacko's set that benchmark in that first sector. He's clearly got his practice in there, but keep watching King Jun to see where his second sector time compares. 26.829, so a couple of tenths down on MCFC, but similar to Jacko. So if he finds a few tenths, he might be able to put it on the second, on the front row of the grid, but don't think he'll manage that pole position as of yet.
Round the final corner he comes. 2 tenths down on pole at the moment, but that looked nice and pretty in P2, and it is P2 for the Williams driver. Championship leader beats Jacko, knocks him off the front row. Jacko down onto third on the second row. King Jun showing why championship material is what is in his game. Liam still yet to set a lap. Only driver, other than Demon, we know his circumstances with his nice quali retirements. Liam yet to set a lap, and will need to be thinking to get into the 19s, because otherwise he'll fall a little bit further behind on track position. And we know what DRS can be an absolute killer to break away from, and if King Jun breaks away and there's a set of drivers behind that hold up in a train, nice DRS train all the way through, that's going to benefit King Jun. But 2 stop round here, soft, medium, soft. What's your predictions for, do you think people will pit lap 1? Obviously there's safety cars could be involved.
Yeah, I think safety car comes out, people will just pit, get that first stop out of the way, because around this track it's so quick, it's so high speed, one little mistake you can end up in a wall, so bound to be at least one safety car, at least that's what I'm expecting. Maybe it won't be on lap 1, who knows, but I feel like the race itself will be, anyone that has fresher softs towards the end of the race will have that pace advantage, because they can lean on their tyres that bit more, they can push to the limits, whereas if people go on mediums in that final stint, they're going to struggle to keep the pace unless they're in a DRS train. And I'm just thinking as well, with Liam's still in the pits. If he's only going to use 2 sets of his 3 sets of tyres, if that's the balance, if he chose balance, I think you get 3. So just wondering if he's trying to save that fresh set of softs for the race, which, because it's a 2-stop race and the game will only give you so many tyre sets, that spare set might actually benefit him in the race.
It will indeed, because with the strategy on F1 2020, when you're running those, you start in the top 10, you obviously start on those worn tyres that you qualified on. You're outside the top 10. You get a choice. Always Waze goes for a massive spin into the wall. He was on a fast one, but I was on board with him because he just started a lap through the second sector chicane, bit too much curve, ran wide onto the gravel, lost the back end, spins into the wall. Front wing damage on that Alpha Tauri. He's going to have to box and go again, but plenty of time, 5 minutes left. But it currently sits P10 on the drop to be knocked out the top 10, but comfortably by 4/10 by Indecisive behind. So yeah, one to watch, Liam.
Quiet.
Yeah, in terms of rivalries, MCFC and Storm are your 2 rivals. I don't think either of them answered the page, but the questions that were given to them was, are you hoping Storm gives you some room out there this week if you are near him on track? At the moment, it's Inosia on pole position and CPI Storm down in 14th, so they could be on track closer after the first pit stop from MCFC, may get caught in traffic, and Storm was asked, do you think that Inosia MCFC has learned where he went wrong last week, and if it happens again he'd deal with it differently? Possibly, but that's these drivers' questions to think about. I mentioned hot and cold at the start. Waze is our cold driver, and Jake after that P2 is our hot. Where's Jake's P6 at the moment? Just about ahead of TJ, but about a tenth has got to be found before he can get anywhere near the top 5. He's on a lap at the moment, and we'll ride on board with him to try and break into that top 5. He's got to break into the 19s, and doing so in the first sector. He's a tenth and a quarter up in the first sector is Jake.
Just invalidated low at turn 5, I think that was, so that's unfortunate for him there. Maybe get one more lap out of this if he can pit and maybe just have enough time, but I think that'll be a close one. Liam's still yet to set a lap, yet to come out of the pits, so all drivers bar him and Bazza, who I believe has just got into the lobby, so it's nice to have Bazza back with us as well.
I didn't notice Bazza was not on the screen. That's my bad. But yeah, he's just made it with 3 minutes to go. If he can get into his car, he can get out and set a lap. Speaking of a driver about to set a lap, John Mason Jr. 54 in the McLaren is heading up towards Parabolica to start his final lap time. Maybe get one more if it goes wrong, if he's got enough fuel. But here we go then, up towards the line as TJ comes out to start his flyer or final run. Will he get any tow? He doesn't. TJ comes out behind. Now let's run towards turn 1 and 2. They're on the brakes about the 100-meter board, or just before. Turn it in nicely for turns 1 and 2, and then nice and easy on the exit towards Curva Grande. I don't think he's going to come up to any traffic. There is an Alpha on the track. I believe that is Bazza, who is on track. So if the gap looks decent enough for John not to catch up, but he may get a little bit of a tow on the run down towards Parabolica. Nice through the Lesmos for this second sector. Now towards Ascari. Very tricky corner. You want to turn in very early. You want to take as much curb as you can, and on exit you really want to hug and carry as much speed as you dare. Don't want to run wide or catch the curb on the inside. He does catch Bazza, but Bazza is calmly out of the way up towards Parabolica. Around the final corner, up towards the line. 20.2 was his first. Does he get into the 19s? He misses out on beating his personal best by half a tenth. He currently sits P8, but he is crucially ahead of his teammate Reverend Daniels.
I was just going to say, not as many cars out, and then realised there's a bit of a car park in Sector 2. Not as bad as we've seen in previous real-life races, but
definitely.
We've all got to get a bit of a move on, and as well stay out of the way. There's about 4 or 5 cars on the run towards Ascari, none of which are actually on a lap, I believe, as Kingdom goes to start his final lap. So,
that's TJW in the wall. That's out of this qualifying session. He was finishing his lap coming out of Parabolica. Sorry to interrupt you, Risky, but out the final corner, lost the rear. There's debris everywhere. He's not on the racing line. You can see the tyre marks, but that is TJ's qualifying session complete, and will not be improving anymore in this session.
That's disappointing because he was not purple, but he was green, so he was up on both of his sectors by about a tenth per sector. So he's about 2/10 up, so would have pushed him up the order by about 4 or 5 places, maybe onto that second row of the grid. But Jackal then around Ascari to complete his lap. I've been watching his lap for a while. He's got a purple middle sector, as Kingdom just takes that away from him, but this is going to be another good lap from Jackal if he can get Parabolica right. Around Parabolica takes a lot of the inside curb onto the grass, but it means he can shoot it out on the exit, ride that curb down towards the line. Then DRS not open and does a 19.9, so it doesn't quite improve. That final sector did cost him, as Kingdom is on a flying lap towards the line. Kingdom comes, and it is pole 19.437, only just, so MCFC might be able to retain or retake that pole position back off of him.
I didn't want to interrupt you. When I was flicking to Jacko, Fozzie Bear had a spin in Sector 1, and his teammate at the moment was only 18,000 slower in the first sector. In the second sector, he validated to Ascari, and he will not be knocking him off the line. Josh up to the line. He's gone in the pits. Where does Liam set? Liam sits 17th without setting a valid lap time. For the Bears on a lap. Jake up to the line is 2/10 down in the second sector. Up to the line, does he improve? He doesn't. He gets into the 9s, but he stays in 7th. Indecisive is into the pits. And there we have qualifying for you. King Jin setting the pace and setting the bar again, showing why this championship is no joke to him. As much as he jokes about it in the press conference, he slapped it on pole by 12 thousandths of a second.
Very much expected, I think, probably of himself. He probably thought MCFC gave him a good run and probably could have put it on pole. And Reverend Daniels as well stuck it on the second row in the final few minutes of that. So not a bad qualifying for him. But this is so tight between those top 3. Then even still, from 3rd all the way down to 8th or 9th, separated by only 6-7 tenths. So will be a good one to watch.
Yeah, so qualifying order for you is King Jun, our championship leader, on pole, with MCFC locking out the front row in the Mercedes powered car. Reverend Daniels put himself up to 3rd in the McLaren, beating his teammate who sits in 9th. Josh Wilkinson in the Renault is 4th, with Fozzie Bear in 5th. Jacko 6th. Jake 7th. TJ 8th. Mason Jr. in 9th. Waves rounds out the top 10. Bazza, coming late into the lobby, managed to get himself up to 11th, but will be the first. Is essentially provision. What's the term for it? It's the better pole. If you're not in the top 10, you want to be starting 11th because you get the freshest tyres on the grid. As we see a nice sunny Grand Prix ahead of us. 27 laps, I believe the race is. It's going to be interesting to see when drivers pit for those 2 mandatory stops. We've got 13 laps tyre life realistically for the softs. So usually 1 stop soft to a medium is the best strategy. Will an early pit stop for an undercut work, or will drivers be waiting for that safety car with all the drivers being bunched up at the start? So yeah, 17 laps expected tyre life for the mediums. They'll probably be doing half as that because it's a 2-stop and with a 50% Grand Prix. And then hard tyres, I don't expect drivers to be touching the hards, especially with a 2-stop. Even if you get damaged lap 1 and pit, you might as well go on mediums. You can push them all the way to about lap 15-16. Formation lap. Bisky, your thoughts ahead of this Grand Prix?
Well, it's been an interesting qualifying, and I'm just going through tasks looking if the championship was to finish, if they were to finish like this, what it would do for the championship. And it wouldn't really benefit Liam at all. Doesn't exactly keeps him in second, but just increase that gap to Kingjin would seriously increase. So I think Liam, he's going to be one to watch coming from the back. And I feel like if MCFC can get a good start, or even Reverend Daniels, that run into turn 1 will be crucial for pretty much all of the drivers here. So I can't call it. Last week I called Spain. Last week I said Kingjin would probably take it all the way to the end, and he did. This week, can't call it. Liam is, however, as well as Demon, on the medium tyre. So double soft stint at the end. I said it in qualifying, could be absolutely crucial.
Yeah, with the pace that we usually see from Liam, those medium tyres, he's going to want to get through this traffic quite quickly. He's going to have to be patient, but he's going to have to be quick about it, otherwise he's going to start losing a lot of time to Kingjin off the start. You mentioned the championship. Kingjin wouldn't be mathematically ahead and won't be mathematically winning the championship, but 45-point gap with 3 to go, looking very strong. But I expect Liam to carve his way through. The alternate strategy, he could even pit lap 5 for mediums and do 2 push stop lap 6 on the mediums and do 2 pushing 11 and 10 laps on the softs. Could work. Undercut, really useful as well. But a lot of drivers going very aggressive off the line, with Bazza down to Alex on softs, taking the aggressive approach down towards turn 1. Let's keep it nice and clean. Long run down to turn 1, but it bunches up such a tight section of corners.
Turns 4 and 5 will probably be your main overtaking points for this first lap. Wouldn't expect to see many dives into 1, but I'll hand it over to you for the 5 light.
Thank you very much, Sully. Here we go then. We're waiting for the 5 lights. All the cars lined up on grid. Here we go then. Everyone's on the grid. Engine starting to rev. I can't see the 5 red lights. I can now if I change to MCFC. And it's lights out, away we go, and that's a slow start for the Mercedes. He's got the Renault of Josh on his left, but that's a beautiful start from Kingjin. Down towards turn 1, it's nearly 3 wide between the McLaren, Renault and the Mercedes. Nice and easy into turn 1 and 2 from what I can see from the leaders. But it's MCFC who's lost out off the start after getting a poor launch. Kevin Daniels holds his position in 3rd. Josh Wilkinson already up 2 positions into 2nd. Further behind, Jacko holds on to P5 with Waze in 6th. Eddie Contacts further behind, doesn't look like it. Nice and clean, no yellows, no safety car. But we're going towards turn 4 as Waze has a look at Jacko on the exit towards the Lesmos. As our first penalty for indecisive, maybe he could have been avoiding contact at a corner and takes his first penalty. But Kingjin getting the start of the ages at the moment in that Williams, already breaking that 1 second window as TJW is down the order and losing positions left, right and centre after DNFing in qualifying. He's down to 16th on those soft tyres that he started on.
Yeah, wing damage, I think that is for TJW. He's got caught up, I think it was into turn 3, he might have got a bit of damage off the backstone, so struggling ever since. But big gamers there. Liam already up into 11th, Alex up into 10th, which is good. Bazza came in qualifying late, up into 8th, and Waze as well up into 5th. So it's a good start for most, as Reverend Daniels does. Is he?
No, it's the order messing up. It's the order messing up. I got really confused as well. Don't worry about it. I was looking at Kingjin and I saw him dropping down the order. I thought, is this guy pitted? No, he hasn't. He's still leading the race. There's just a little bit of a timing glitch in the mix. But we do have our first pitter. TJ with that wing damage is going to have to take the pain of pitting with the extra 6 seconds in the pit stall. Change to mediums. No gun issues, no nut issues for the AlphaTauri, unlike we won't talk about Mr. Bottas, but he comes out in dead last in 18th.
Give the third out in there, won't we?
I did
But
indeed.
in all that, Reverend Daniels did lose a couple of places. Josh in second, a little bit slow out of turn 2, which I know was quite a while ago on the lap, but they've been scrapping ever since. It's down the inside, he was MCFC into Ascari. If he makes a move around Ascari, I'll be impressed. No, Josh Wilkins finds it. Oh, Josh has gone for a spin off the back end into the wall. That's his wheel gone. And we're going to see a safety car.
Safety car is out here in Monza lap 2. Hadn't even finished it, and we got our first casualty. TJ won a casualty, but didn't DNF. Josh in the Renault, after a thunderous start, off the line, getting not only Reverend Daniels, but MCFC as well, is now out of this Grand Prix. First casualty at Ascari as well. Those curbs can be very slippery. I know myself as a driver, and I'm sure Risky will find out later in... I will get it right. Points, podium? Podium. I will get it right. In the podium tier later. In terms of pit stops, everyone's in. No shock there. 2-stop race with an easy 1-stop nullifies that effect. Drivers pitting for fresh mediums. Alex Lilliard, interestingly, it wasn't Alex, timing glitch, but Fozzie Bear, interestingly, is on hard tyres. I mentioned hards not being a tyre you want to be starting on, or even going on in this race, but he's looking long. He's looking very long. He probably doesn't think the mediums can go all the way to a second set of softs, but the medium tyre is going to take a lot of work to groove into the track and heat up, especially for the safety car. They're going to be the coldest tyres and going to need the most work on the restart.
2 drivers didn't stop, with Indecisive and Mason, both on soft tyres. Indecisive has a little bit of wing damage that we're seeing on TAS, so I do wonder if he's going to pit and he was just waiting for his teammate in that sense. But interesting from Mason, or John, whichever name he prefers. See what he can do, maybe out on the front with them softs. Get past Indecisive. Maybe he's got the pace to pull away, but with Kingdon still in 3rd place after the pit stops, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for him.
Kingdon getting a little bit of traffic. He's not really going to want this with MCFC showing the pace in qualifying. He did only miss out by 12 thousandths of a second. Kingdon knows that his main rival now for this Grand Prix is going to be that Mercedes that he's going to be putting the pressure on. Because the Mercedes had a poor start, he managed to pull the gap. Now it's back to a level playing field between these two, and Kingdon now has a little bit of traffic in front. Indecisive is going to be dictating the pace, especially on the restart. What Kingdon, I think, would want to do is just keep his nose clean, stay out the way of the 2 in front. Maybe don't get too close to the back, because we know what it's like, where if you're too close to the safety car and restart, you'll start to be forced to slow down, and then damage could be caused to the front wings, and 5-second time penalties as well for contact, which they will serve when their next pit stop comes.
Liam made a smart decision, I'd say. Start on the mediums. So the safety car pit again for a second set of mediums, so not wanting to risk staying out and getting caught out at all. So up into 9th, good start for Liam. On the same sort of strategy as everybody had the front 2. So see what pace Liam has as TJW starting to catch the pack now. So we could see the safety car in this lap.
Yeah, that's a very smart strategic call from Ferrari. Is that a Ferrari masterclass with strategy? Never heard of it. But yeah, Liam coming in for a fresh set of mediums. You mentioned that he did the smart thing. It was very smart to do. He keeps himself in the strategy of the drivers ahead, and especially his championship rival, currently in net P1. But he's made up a lot of ground. A few quick drivers in front. He's going to want to get by Fozzie Bear quickly as well on those hard tyres. He's got Jacko and Waze that are probably going to keep scrapping it out. Reverend Daniels ahead, who's probably going to keep on the back of these leading drivers. Safety car in this lap. Good prediction, Risky. We're seeing the drivers start to slow down through Ascari now. Do you think these drivers will just pit, or they wouldn't pit? Otherwise, they would have pit at the start of the safety car. I think they're going to try and do. I think I did this once in a Monza race. Stay out, keep pushing, and then make the 2-stop work as the usual strategy. Praying for that extra safety car to come in, and you'll be on fresh tyres throughout the rest of the Grand Prix. But yeah, restart underway. Indecisive, is he gone? He's very close to the safety car, so even if he goes, he's going to get slowed down, and this could give Mason the right opportunity down towards turn 1. We go green again, and Enosia has got the jump nearly on the Williams of Kingdon. It's nearly 3 wide, 4 wide down towards turn 1. This is going to get nice and juicy, boys. Keep it nice and clean. Back towards turn 2. There is a lot of contact. I think that's a wing damage for Kingdon. We said we didn't want to get him any wing damage. With the poor start from him, he now has wing damage and will have to pit. Reverend Daniels taking advantage of the squabbling and keeping his nose clean, I believe, is up to second. Indecisive holding the lead off ahead of everyone else.
CFC got damage in that battle as well, and Fozzie Bear also just picked himself up for some quite serious wing damage as well, so a little bit scruffy on the restart, but this now has given Reverend Daniels a nice sort of little, probably a bit more breathing room if he, as long as he knows Kingdon has wing damage. I think that will give him a psychological advantage, as we had a yellow in sector 2, but I think that's all clear now. Just MCFC struggling for Ascari, Fozzie Bear also, so the Mercedes both having poor starts.
That was close between Fozzie Bear and Jake. Yeah, disaster class for Mercedes at the moment. Both drivers looking well to charge that championship for Mercedes down, but both with wing damage have to box. Indecisive stays out. Reverend Daniels is in the slipstream. He's going to maybe harness the error. Indecisive is using his overtake to stay ahead. He's being aggressive, is Indecisive, even though he is a pit stop down. Jacko and Mason side by side into turn 1. Jacko trying to get by the McLaren unsuccessfully, and now has got Liam right on the back of him for P6.
The beauty of Monza is that you can be in the DRS trade from 1st to 16th or wherever position and still manage to come out ahead of it. So don't count any driver out just yet. Say we're still lap 6 out of 27, and Liam now up in 7th. If Liam has the pace, if he thinks he's got the pace and he can show that pace, I think Liam still could be on for a win here. From Kingdon, I know has wing damage, but the train he's in, he's got Indecisive and Reverend Daniels ahead. Reverend Daniels won't give up without a fight, and we've seen Indecisive won't give up without some defending, as Reverend Daniels is now going to have the run on the left hand side as Indecisive went a little bit wide. Going to try and defend it, not quite. Kingdon will gain through Parabolicos. We lose Smithy Chris, and I have a virtual safety car. That's through Ascari. See him on the right hand side of the exit. Big impact there.
Yeah, as you were going on about the battle for the lead, I was watching a little battle behind. I should have been watching the lead, but Indecisive takes the opportunity for the virtual safety car to pit. Yes, it now is his pit stop time down from about 26 seconds to, I don't know, 16 or even 50 or even less, but he's done his damage. He's led a few laps. He almost got overtaken by Reverend Daniels. Reverend Daniels now sits in the lead. Kingdon staying out though with that wing damage, feels like he can do enough, knowing that his rival is now in P4.
Just wonder what's going through Kingdon's mind. If he thinks, he said before the race he doesn't want to take risks as we go green again and Mason picks up a penalty. That's one of the worst things about this game at the minute, is the drive-throughs under the SC.
Yeah, the
Kingdon's
Delta
struggling a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see if Liam can come catch the top two, because Wade's sat in third between them. Maybe he's got the pace to challenge. Who knows?
He could do indeed. Way's a very strong driver, can deliver on the day when required, and at the moment he's got a fight on his hands for P3 with Liam getting by Jacko. Is up the field. Started in 17th, did Liam. Is now in net P4. That's a net gain of 13 positions already, and Wade laps in.
Alfa Romeo swap there as Bazza gets by Jacko, and as we were talking about the front guys, Jake and Storm were going side by side through Ascari.
Battle for third has just emerged. Liam went round the outside, I think it was, but he's got Waze all over the back of him. This move might not be finished. Waze was not happy about the contact in towards turn 1. It's going to go side by side between both of them towards turn 4. Waze is going to have the inside, and Liam holds on and takes that position. Liam now P3, Waze P4. Yeah, Waze tried to defend into turn 1. Liam had the DRS and overspeed, got the move done. Waze tried to go a little bit breaker, going defensive, hit. Made a little bit of contact with the Ferrari, but no damage from what I can see. Liam now on a charge. Kingdon sticking with the pace, even with the damage, sticking in the DRS of Revan Daniels. But the longer this stint goes on, the more wear that's driven through these tyres, the dirty air, it's really going to affect that Williams, and it's going to fall into the clutches of Liam. Liam already dragging himself into that towards that 1 second window. He don't think he'll get it on this lap, but next lap is very possible for Liam as he picks up his first penalty.
The little fight between Liam and Waze has brought Bazza into it, derating at the minute, but Bazza has a little bit more ERS than Waze, not loads, sets the fastest lap there. Jacko behind, saving his ERS to pounce, because he's got a bit of breathing space behind him, as we're going to see Alex on Storm down into turn 1. Move under DRS, don't think he'll have to outbrake him too much, but nice little move there. That's been coming for a few laps. This little train battle for 8th. Good to watch. And then Jess is behind.
Little back end loss from TJW, sorry to interrupt, on the hard tyres, wanting to get by Storm as well. I believe he's made his 2 pit stops. He has. TJ already made 2, going to the end on hard as he goes deep into turn 4. Yeah, he's going to want to get by this pack as Alex has fallen away from the top 7. Jake up to 7th. A little bit of gaps forming. Liam not showing the pace just yet to what Revan Daniels is doing. Not within that 1 second window. You can visually see the drivers ahead, as that's a poor run from Revan Daniels out of Ascari. We've got Kingdon going for the move before the DRS and before the final corner, essentially Parabolica. I was going to call it a number, but I'm not 100% sure. But Kingdon now regains the lead, but he's going to leave himself a little bit open to being re-overtaken. What's Kingdon doing? He's not using his ERS. We've got Revan Daniels, slipstream, DRS, ERS wide open as they go towards turn 1. Is that the move? And is that the lead back to Revan Daniels? It is indeed. And Kingdon with that wing damage.
Sorry to interrupt. Baz making a move on Waze. I fully cut you off. It's not quite stuck, but a bit of argy-bargy elbows out there because Waze was not giving that position up.
I've got to go back to the leaders. Sorry, Risky. They're still side by side. Kingdon's got the inside towards turn 4. It's very defensive and aggressive from Kingdon. Kingdon gets a penalty. Revans is run off the road and come back on dangerously. There's contact between him and the Ferrari. That is, he should have been following the bollards to get back onto the track safely. He didn't want to lose too much time, did Revan Daniels, and now has I believe, given Liam some wing damage. He has indeed. So Liam's going to be under pressure from Waze behind. Waze towards Ascari. He's going to have to go the long way around. Liam doesn't fight it as much. Liam backs out essentially because of that damage as Waze runs wide out of Ascari and picks up his second penalty. Liam not going to be very happy about that rejoin from Revan Daniels. That McLaren's going to be sent to the stewards as Liam loses another position to Bazza on the run down towards Parabolica as Bazza goes deep, trying to keep in DRS of Waze ahead. Absolute drama kick it off as Liam now pits.
Well, what a couple of corners there. Liam coming through.
Oh, what has Revan Daniels done there? Sorry to interrupt, Risky, but I went on board with Revan Daniels and it was weaving across the track. I'm not too sure why. And then he went, unless it was a lag bubble or lag spike or something, he weaved across to the right. VSC deployed because of the wing damage on the start-finish straight. He weaved across, lost the back end on the grass on the right-hand side, swung back to the left to where Marcus Ericsson had his infamous incident in free practice. Lost the full front wing, no tyre, all 4 tyres still on the car. Some questions to be asked of Mr. Daniels at the end of this Grand Prix about what he was doing there. He's got no front wing, now down to 6th. Waze promoted to 2nd, and that's an Alfa Romeo ERT 3.4. And technically, that is a net P1. Jacko drops off a little bit. It's a net P1.3, or maybe even P1.2. No, P13.
Yeah, I was just
Definite P13.
just gonna pick up on that. I was thinking there's two men sat in third and fourth. One of them didn't even think he'd be here today, and both having really good races. Jack got Jake behind him, so Jake will be looking to get past as Lillard gets past the wounded Reverend Daniels there. So everything kicking off in the last couple of laps. The first lap nothing happened, and it all started from the second lap onwards. Onto lap 12 we go. Waze behind Kingdon, so if Waze can keep in that DRS, maybe he'll have the better run through the second sector with that wing damage from Kingdon as Reverend Daniels pits, which he'll probably come out behind Liam as well, because Liam got a pit stop off under VSC. Liam onto the hards. Reverend Daniels will put, I'm assuming, another set of
I'd go
mediums.
I'd go mediums here. He's gone mediums. Yeah, mediums will go to the end. It will be on faster tyres to Liam at this current state, but Liam choosing to go to the end on hard tyres, not thinking the mediums will get to the end. Mediums can die out quite quickly at the end of their stint, but with a lighter car is going all the way to the end, lighter fuel load, it'll be a lot easier to manage the tyres and lap times for the McLaren driver. Do you mention Waze? Waze on the back of Kingdon. Kingdon injured. Will Waze be aggressive? Or will he let Kingdon pull him along?
I think Waze will be aggressive. He's the cold driver at the minute, and we saw how much he wants to win. He's fought for it before. You see him now going to the outside towards Parabolica. He's going to get the move done before the DRS straight of which is the pit straight. Not going to be the best move, as Kingdon then is going to pull to the left hand side with the DRS. Waze has a little bit to fight with, but not loads. Waze won't fight it too much as around the outside to turn one. Waze can't do anything about it. Kingdon back into the lead, but that wing damage is hindering him. Both these drivers' penalties, the Alfa Romeo of Baza sat not too far behind.
I was going to mention that was very tactical from Kingdon. I was watching on board. He broke and gave the position to, maybe he didn't want to risk his race too much because obviously he's still leading technically. And with Liam having that wing damage drama a few laps ago, Kingdon keeping his nose a little bit cleaner than his rivals. He was very tactical as Waze is in the wall. Waze has had a mare. I think that's damage for Waze.
I think Waze is an AI car. I think he left the session.
He's left the session.
Which has not helped him at all.
That hasn't helped him indeed. I wondered what happened. Yeah, Evil Dragon to confirm his seconds disconnected. Yep. Bazza now promoted up to P2, net P1, and don't forget, Kingdon will do a wing change in the pit stop. That's another 6 seconds of lap time that Gazza will gain. So technically, he's not only a second ahead with that penalty, but he's 7 seconds ahead on track if he's got the pace. But Kingdon now with the free air, no battling, and run his own for the next. We'll go 3 laps. 3 laps would be enough to make the softs go to the end, but he's got to take into account.
Jake come down the inside of Jacko into turn 1. This is going to be a move for third. Through Waze's car they go, round the outside for Jake. Jacko defending the inside. Jake gets the move done. Will Jacko fight back through the curve of the Grande? Probably not. Going to sit behind him and let Jake go. That move has been coming for about a lap or so as Jacko starts to struggle on his worn mediums.
Yeah, Jacko was sitting pretty in P3. Waze's disconnection has dropped him outside the top podium steps, but his penalty wouldn't have helped either. 6 seconds for Waze. He drops further down the field as he tries to get back into the car. Thank you very much, Nud in the chat. Don't worry, your boys at ERT are currently sat P4 and P2. Jacko having a stellar race. Wanted to get another load of points on the board, and he can do so with a podium. Because the gap behind is starting to fall away. TJ, though, is not out of this yet. He has got 10 lap-old hards, but he will probably comfortably go to the end. But he may not even need to. He's in this fight for a top 5. And he can go challenge these drivers as Kingdon makes the first pit stop for the leaders. He's going to have to do a wing change. It's going to be a slow. It's gone. Is that mediums? He's gone mediums again. He doesn't think the softs will go to the end, or he doesn't have any fresh to use. Usually you get given an extra set anyway. But mediums for King Jin, going for the undercut. He's going to be rapid and qualifying laps on those medium tyres all the way to the end. He's going to come out behind Jake because of that wing change. Waze rejoins the lobby as Liliart gets by him. Bazza leads the race. It's an Alfa Romeo 1-2. Everyone holds your horses. King Jin got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well. Well spotted in the comments. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's going to really hinder King Jin now for the rest of this Grand Prix. Going to the end, he's behind Jake. And he's got 8 seconds worth of penalties. What do these two drivers do now? TJ could easily go to the end. He might even take track position, but he's going to have drivers charging behind him, reeling their way back up the field as Waze is now back in his car, using his overtake to try and regain the time he's lost as the Delta disappears. I love it when that happens.
Liam's still on for this race win, you know. He's got 3 lap-old hards, made his 2 stops, can go to the end. He does have a penalty, but King Jin's penalty is worse. And if King Jin is going to be his main rival, I feel this is as much Liam's as it is anybody of the top 3, top 4. I feel like the Alfa Romeos both have a good chance. TJW, if he can keep them hards alive, 12 lap olds though, so they'll start slipping away. Ways back in his car, maybe a bit of a comeback from 5th place if he picks for some soft tyres towards the later stages.
Yeah, TJ's got a comfortable gap, but it'll be interesting to see his tyres. Give me 1 second. We should be using TAS a little bit more as King Jin gets by Jake on the run towards turn 1. Jess is ahead of both of these drivers and looking to get in the mix. King Jin on a recovery drive with that 5-second penalty looming over his head for speeding in the pit lane. He's going to go for Jess on the outside. He's going to move back into the racing line, gets by Jess with ease. Jake now on the back of Jess, gets the better exit. Is she going to fight it? Jake to the inside of the first Lesmo. Jess down to 12th, but still yet to make another pit stop. She'll be pitting for softs at the end, as will Demon will definitely pit for softs. The Storms for softs. Waze will go for softs. Alex Liliot will go for softs. Jacko and Bazza are going to go for softs as well. I will get this right. Penalties. Front 3 looking very juicy. Yeah, you mentioned the tyres. 23 laps old. If TJ was to go to the end, you would be screaming indeed. But it's the hard compound. You don't usually see the hard compound as Liliard now in the pits. Does he go for soft tyres on that Haas? And looking to score some decent points for Haas. He goes for mediums. Not a lot of drivers have got confidence in running softs at the very end. As we see a VSC come out. Who was that for?
I think Indecisive it was.
Indecisive has one board with one Haas. The other one has binned it in a Scar. Unfortunate for Indecisive, was running very well. One of the drivers that didn't pit at the start for the first safety car. Reverend Daniels is taking the opportunity to pit on the safety car, virtual safety car, for a set of softs run to the end. He's going to be the quickest driver on track. Liam was quickest at one point with those hard tyres, setting fastest lap, showing he's still got the pace. He's got the Mercedes of MCFC. I've had that incident under the safety car restart along with Liam. He's been on those tyres for 10 laps now. Those mediums will not be running to the end. He probably will pit again and will be fighting Reverend Daniels around that area for P12.
In terms of Liam's tyres, Liam's looking at 18% highest, but TJW on his hards is looking at about 40%. So TJW's not going to be in the best seat, but depending on what happens, as Mason gets a drive-through for speeding under VSC, I think that's twice he's had a drive-through now, which is unfortunate for him. We do have a yellow flag though. That might be for Mason himself. Yeah, I think he slowed right down after that. But carrying on, just waiting now basically for the leaders to pit, because once the leaders pit we will have some on-track battles towards the end, as Demon is behind Storm. That's the closest on track at the minute, apart from MCFC on Liam, both with penalties. But MCFC, like you said, probably be pitting relatively soon for a set of those soft tyres.
Yeah, I was on board with the restart of these two drivers. As you mentioned, the closest battle. Yeah, I thought MCFC was going to get the run down towards turn 1 on Liam. Maybe he's doing a bit of tyre management. Maybe he's waiting for another safety car. There is one more due, but those tyres are looking very worn. 52% on that right. No, rear left, sorry. I thought I said right left. That does not make sense. On that rear left tyre, 60%, and his front left as well, taking the pain with 60%, whereas his right tyres are fairly worn, 39 to 50. But yeah, those tyres will not be going to the end. Storm as well will not be going to the end as hitting that 60% territory. So who's going to shoot first? Is it going to be Bazza? Is it going to be his teammate? It's going to be Storm, who boxes for those fresh softs first. Promotes Liam and MCFC and Kingjin back into the top 8. Kingjin, however, not losing Jake. Jake's being dragged along here. He's not got DRS, but is tantalisingly close. As Storm will come out around P11 because Jesse's in the pits. Reverend Daniels is coming around the final corner. Fuzzy Bear in the other Mercedes, having had a mare at the early part of this Grand Prix, down in 14th, having made 3 stops. Reverend Daniels showing the pace of the softs already. 21.9 is the benchmark, and that's what lap times you're going to be looking for these drivers. Bazza, Jacko, TJ, if he does pit again, Waze, Demon, they're all going to be pitting for these fresh softs and going to be absolutely flying for the final 9 laps of this Grand Prix.
They will indeed. I'm just kind of waiting now to see when Bazza and Jacko blink. They'll be communicating with each other, and I think we're going to see... No, not. I thought he was going to pull into the pits. His Kingjin picked up another time penalty, so all adding up now. Neither of the front 2 pit. TJW staying out. Waze does pit on his mediums, as gets speeding penalty for good measure, so won't be too impressed with himself there as Demon comes into the pits. Demon could be looking for a good result from last on the grid as usual. MCFC on the back of Liam. Neither have much to fight with in terms of ERS, should I say, so Liam retains that position.
Here's a scenario for you now. TJW, net race leader, is a second off Jacko and nearly in DRS. He also has a 13 second gap to P4. I don't think TJ will be wanting to pit at all, and looking at his tyres, they're not that bad. Those hards on Liam's are pretty fresh. 26 is his worst one compared to TJW on 47. But those tyres should go to the end. I don't think TJ will be pitting, realising that he's currently sat net P1 with a wonderful 12-second gap. And not to mention the penalty as well. The 3-second time penalty for Liam, 6 for MCFC, 11 for Kingjin, 11 for Waze. So, as Kingjin gets very loose on the exit off Ascari, pushing his limits, as Bazza gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. None of these drivers are getting the braking point right, coming into the pits, probably trying to leave it as late as possible to break into the pits to gain as much time as they want. But was it worth running over a mile an hour for that 5 seconds? I don't think so. Getting 49 mile an hour into the pit lane is not worth 5 seconds of your time. Bazza will come out behind this train of cars that Liam is leading. Waze on the undercut has not really made any inroads on Bazza. No, and he's been on those tyres for 3 laps. They're old tyres as well. They're not fresh tyres on Waze's car. I'm pretty sure he hasn't been on these tyres for 3 laps. They are 3-lap old tyres on that.
Yeah.
I think
you're right in saying that. Just thinking now for TJW, what I do in that position. Obviously, he probably doesn't know everybody behind him has penalties.
No, he does. TJ will know down to P5 who has penalties and who won't. But further down, obviously not. He won't know.
Yeah. Which, if he pits, he's going to come out around 6th or 7th, between Bazza and Waze. Now, he'll be on fresh softs, so if he comes out ahead of Bazza, ideal, because then you hopefully get past the drivers ahead, and hopefully win on penalties. However, if he thinks he can stay out on the hards, he stay out on the hards. But Baz already at the back of Jake on those softs, so it just shows. I said it in quali, and I said it at the start of this race. I say it at the end of the race. The soft tyres on the last stint is insane. Look at Bazza then, around the outside of Jake. That was touching the grass a little bit, but Bazza is a driver that has come into this race with a lot of pace all of a sudden. And this battle for third, or which will become the battle for second, will probably get quite tasty.
It will get incredibly dramatic towards the end. All these drivers with penalties. Bazza with the 5 seconds not going to help, but he will jump Kingjun. He needs to get ahead of Liam. No, Liam on those really hard tyres. Bazza's going to start showing the pace now with this free air. Jacko is playing an interesting strategy. If I was him, I'd have pitted ages ago. Not too sure what Jacko's game plan is. He does have to do a 2-stop. He needs to remember this as he gets his first corner creating penalty. Curse of the commentator lives on as Jacko now gets himself a time penalty for track limits. Is he holding up TJ? Not enough, though, to bring Bazza back into the fight for the win. Liam, however, is starting to form a train, and a train of angry cars it's going to become, with Kingjun being behind Liam. Jacko pits. Jacko has probably listened to his engineer or Bazza and has pitted. He's going to pit for softs, maybe push for fastest lap. Where do you think he'll come out? Do you think he'll come out behind Waze, ahead of Waze? He's not doing a wing change, straight onto fresh softs. Where's Waze? Waze is coming down towards the pit straight now. Jacko is exiting. Waze is going to get him, I believe, on pure pace, as Kingjun now is looking to get by Liam for that P2 position. It doesn't matter about penalties. Kingjun feels like he's got the pace. Kingjun now putting the pressure on Liam towards turn 4. Switching left, switching right. Kingjun thinking about every open door possibility to get ahead of Liam. He's going to have to do it quickly. He's going to have to try and pull an 8-second gap to beat Liam today. I don't think that's going to be possible with the tyre life. 7 laps compared to 11. There's 17, which is Bazza. Needs to sort out his little task notification. It is going to be flying and is already on the back of these two. He has the second least, or the second most amount of penalties in this 3 fight with 5 seconds. He'll be wanting to get a move on, but hoping that Kingjun and Liam, they're going to make it a 3-wide affair probably in towards turn 1, and that's going to get tasty. Bazza probably going to keep his nose clean if I was him.
Yeah, there's a man sat in 5th with no penalties on some mediums that seem like they're going alright, that could steal, in fact probably will steal a podium at this rate unless Waze and Jacko catch him up.
Oh, I mentioned the 3-wide affair is there's wheel banging between Kingjun and the Ferrari of Liam. Bazza wanted to go around the outside. He's going to try and go around the outside of Liam again. What a beautiful traction. He got out of that corner. He's got Liam behind him and he's got Kingjun in front. He's got 5 seconds of penalties compared to Liam's 3. He's going to have some work to do. He's got to get by Kingjun ASAP.
What a move from Bazza as he picked himself up another penalty there. Oh, that's unfortunate for him. Now down the inside goes Liam, forces Bazza off the track in through Lesmo 1.
We won't say that, Misky.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, Misky. It's all gone wrong. Lesmo. I nearly said it myself. Lesmo. Liam back ahead, but with that 8 seconds of penalties now looming on Bazza's head, it looks like it's going to be over and done with. But around the outside, Bazza's going to try. Liam gets another penalty to give the space to Bazza on the outside. But Liam holds on as they run towards Parabolica. Kingjun using this battling behind to pull ahead. He does have 11 seconds, but he only needs 5 as Bazza goes back ahead of Liam towards Parabolica. That's probably not smart from Bazza. He's going to be susceptible to the DRS and get overtaken by Liam, but neither driver has got any ERS to push for these final 3 laps. 25 down, 3 to go. Well, 24 down, sorry, 3 to go. 24 down, 3 to go.
I think but Liam let Bazza by around that final corner for the little bit of a squeeze. And I don't know if it was tactical from Liam or if it was just gentlemanly, but he definitely pulled over to let Bazza by. But now he's going to come for him through the Curva Grande in towards turn 4, out on the left-hand side, onto the marbles, down the inside for the Ferrari. Bit of wheel banging, bit of touching, and that's round nearly for Liam. which is going to allow Jake to be right on the back now of Liam. Liam on those hards maybe struggling to keep the traction. The bit of a contact that was had not helping, and Jacko also not too far behind. If he can, 4 seconds on a lot fresher tyres. Never say never, I guess.
Yeah, Jacko's going to be flying on those softs. In terms of that incident we just saw in towards turn 4, I'd gather it as a racing incident. You saw what happened in real life Italy between a Ferrari and a Mercedes going a little bit sideways. Similar to what happened there. I don't think it was aggressive and malicious enough to warrant a penalty for Bazza. It's just side-by-side, actually. He's allowed to defend the position. Liam sent himself up the inside, held the position. It was up to Liam not to outbrake himself and make the contact with Bazza on the right-hand side, because Bazza will have the inside. Then again, Bazza could have backed out and relinquished the position because he has more penalties, but that's not racing. You fight for everything, no matter what the cost. With 2 laps to go, TJW, with a masterclass of strategies, having had an incident that caused VSC, safety cars have been out. He's got a lovely 8-second gap, and Kingdom's 11-second penalty is actually going to help Bazza here. Only just. He's got to stay within that 3-second window, and Bazza could snatch himself a P2. He's got that 2-second window to Liam. But yeah, Bazza on course for podium. Liam looking like he's under a lot of pressure from Jake behind.
This time last lap, I said Jacko was 4.5 seconds back. He's now 2.5 seconds back. So that shows you the pace of those softs. Jacko closes up to the back of him. Maybe Jacko could probably, he could steal a podium maybe, but I think Jake, who having no penalties ahead of him, maybe be looking at a 4th or a 5th place finish. Jacko Ways not managing to stay with him, of course.
Jacko needs to be sensible here. I think Jake will snag the P2. Jake will snag P2 because he's 6 seconds behind Kingdon. Jacko, however, might snag that P3. It's very tight between him and his teammate. The gap between him and his teammate is around 7 seconds. But Baz is getting a move on. Jacko's going to have to push if he wants to snag a podium away from his teammate, get glory in the Alfa Romeo garage. And Jacko is pushing, but that's gap to leader. Kingdon's pushing as well. Every driver on this final lap is pushing for everything, because every point playing position counts. But the one that counts the most at the moment is going to the AlphaTauri driver of TJW. He got promoted to the podium last week in Spain. And now looking for a nice tasty AlphaTauri victory. We've seen this before here in Monza, as Anossia MCFC has got fastest lap as well, so he'll be getting the points playing position for fastest lap. But TJ then around the final corner, no penalties, disaster class at the start but masterclass at the end. He wins in Monza. Who's going to get that final podium spot, or final 2 podium spots? Kingdom will cross the line in second, but Baz will get up to second due to penalties. Liam, will he jump Kingdom? He does, but Jake jumps them all. Jake to P2, sorry. Jacko, not enough. Not enough to get the jump on his teammate. 1.3 seconds, but it's an Alfa Romeo P3, P4. Kingdon down to 5th, but crucially, by 0.032 seconds, he will finish ahead of his rival Liam in 6th. MCFC will be 10 seconds adrift in 7th. CPI Storm, one of the late pitters, gets himself in the points with P8. Demon from the back to the points once again for the basic point. Waze drops down the order after that disconnected penalty down to 10th. Alex Lilliot in 11th for the one and only Haas left in the race.
Quite an exciting race this week compared to the Spain last week. I've thoroughly enjoyed it once again, but we'll get thinking about driver of the day then.
Yeah, we will indeed. We'll do it as I run through the final standings, but there's TJW on the top step. Happy smile on his face as he takes a haul of 20 points back to AlphaTauri, and strong performance from him on those hard tyres that They were worth the risk to go to the end. He saw the drivers behind had more penalties, and that's a very colourful podium with pink, navy blue, and like a maroony red. But we'll run through the final standings here in Italy. TJW took the win from P8 to get full points here in Monza. Jake W. Combs, another podium for the Racing Point driver in second, and Baza gets himself on the podium ahead of his teammate by 1.3 seconds. Kington, championship leader, crucially only P5, but ahead of his championship rival of Liam in sixth. MCFC recovered up to seventh after that poor start and contact. Gets himself up to 70 by Storm in only finishing Renault in 8th, Demon in 9th, Waze in 10th, Alex Lilliot in 12th, and Trevor Daniels getting the final points playing position here in One Hub. Prospect here in the McLaren. Jess failing to finish in the points, unfortunately for her, 13th. Posy Bear in 14th. John Mason in the other McLaren is 15th, being a lap down. Unfortunately for him, he got two drive-throughs under VSCs. Indecisive, Smithy, Chris, and Josh Wilkins are your three retirees. What driver of the day then, Mr. Risky?
Well, I've had a thought, and I've made three contenders for myself, but I've narrowed it down to one, and I'm going to give it to Baza because he came into qualifying late. He didn't even think he'd get a lap in, and managed to produce a pretty okay lap. To say it was his first one, and then the pace he showed and just the consistency to stay up there. The few penalties with the battling did cost him a little bit, but to take that podium up with some of the quick guys too, very good from both the Alfa Romeo boys. I'll give it to Baza, and just a bit of a question for him is: does he think he can get a win in the final few races of this season? Because the pace is there.
Yeah, definitely. Baza's one to watch for next week, showing the paces there. My driver of the day is quite interesting. I'm torn between two. It's I saw race winner TJ and the other Alfa Romeo driver of Jacko. Jacko will get my driver of the day vote for his second race here in Prospect, as far as I'm aware, partnering up with his ELT buddy of Baza in the Alfa Romeo. Almost did enough. That 3-second penalty might have cost him that podium, but he gets a strong P4, so he's my second driver of the day. My question for you, Jacko, is realising you missed out on a podium by 1.3 seconds, does this fire you up for next race to push for more? You were one position away from a podium. Do you think you could get a podium this season with the final few rounds remaining? So yeah, both Alfa Romeos getting driver of the day from us. So this has been round 7 of the Prospecteer here at One Hub, brought to you by Next Level Racing, Liam RBS, 3MM Sim Racing, partnered with Vespertine, ERT, and in collaboration with Time to Print. It's been a very dramatic race to watch. Monza always seems to deliver, especially with DRS. Have you enjoyed it, Risky?
I have. There's a massive thank you to all the drivers and all the admin team as well for getting me in this role. I'll not be here next week, so be Pete and probably somebody else to reserve on the cards.
No, I'm joking.
As much as you
maybe
want to
someone
I don't
new.
recommend it.
Maybe someone new.
Ooh.
I've had a lot of different people in the box. Yeah.
Yeah, you like a new one, but I'll be back for the final 2 races.
Excellent. Speaking of races, next week, if I can find our wonderful calendar, I'm very professional.
Need some elevator music.
We'll find out, but be sure to check out the rest of the One Hub races happening, which include Podium, Pinnacle, Precision. Points tier would have been going or is going at the moment. Be sure to check them out. They'll be on live on YouTube and Twitch. Be sure to join One Hub's Discord as well to keep up to date with all the racing news here in One Hub. I've been your commentator, Peter Nardin. I've been joined by the wonderful Sullivan Lewis, who unfortunately won't be here next week, but he will join me in the future. Thank you all for watching. Take care.
Bye.